Money is a game. Know the rules or stay broke. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. Have you ever wondered why you work so hard and still feel like you're going nowhere financially? I used to wonder the same thing. For years, I thought the answer was working harder, earning more, getting a better job title. I was wrong. What I eventually learned, and what I wish somebody had told me far sooner, is that money is not just a resource. It is a game, a structured, rule-driven game with winners and losers. And the reason most people are losing is not because they are lazy or unintelligent. It is because nobody ever taught them the rules. Today on Money Mind Shift, we are changing that. Rule number 1, understand that money is a game. The first and most important rule is simply this: accept that money operates like a structured game with winners, losers, rules of play, and a scoreboard. I didn't fully understand this until I started studying how wealth is actually built. And when I did, I kept coming back to one man, John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller grew up poor. His father was a con man who was rarely home. There was no inheritance, no network, no head start. And yet by the time he was in his 30s, he was the most powerful businessman in America. By the time he died, he was worth an estimated $340 billion in today's money, the wealthiest private individual in modern history. How? He understood the game earlier than almost anyone else around him. Rockefeller once said, "I always tried to turn every disaster into an opportunity." He didn't see the market as something that happened to him. He saw it as a game to be played, strategically, patiently, and with clear rules. He studied industries, identified leverage points, and moved with precision while others reacted with emotion. Most people will never do this, not because they can't, but because they were never told the game existed. The moment you accept that money is a game, with rules that can be learned, everything changes. Rule number 2, the rules are hidden on purpose. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. And honestly, when I first realized this, it genuinely bothered me. The rules of the money game are kept secret, not by accident, on purpose. According to research from Stanford Graduate School of Business, only 1/3 of the global population is financially literate. 2/3 of all people on this planet do not understand the basic rules of how money works. Around 75% of adults say they were never taught personal finance during their entire schooling. We learned algebra, geography, and ancient history, but nobody taught us how compound interest builds wealth or how taxes work differently for business owners versus employees. But here's the part that really opened my eyes, and I want you to sit with this. It is not just the education system keeping these rules hidden. Businesses do it too. Think about the company you work for right now. Do you know how much revenue it generates every month? Do you know the profit margins on the products you help deliver every single day? Almost certainly not, and that is by design. The people at the top, the founders, the shareholders, the board, know exactly how the money flows in, where the profits go, and how wealth is being accumulated. The employees who show up every day and generate that value, they are told their salary, nothing more. Supplier contracts are confidential. Profit splits are hidden. Executive compensation is buried in annual report footnotes that most employees never read. I learned this the hard way. I spent years working inside organizations, believing my contribution was fairly rewarded, without ever knowing what my efforts were actually worth to the business. The transactions, the margins, the deals, all behind closed doors. Robert Kiyosaki captured it perfectly. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. That gap between the people who understand the financial mechanics and the people who simply show up and trade time for a wage is the gap the secrecy creates and protects. The wealthy pass financial knowledge down through generations. Through private mentors, elite networks, and dinner table conversations most of us are never invited into. But here is the good news. The rules exist. They can be found. They can be learned. And once you learn them, they work for everyone. Rule number 3, high income is not wealth. This is the rule I see most high earners get completely wrong, and one I had to learn the hard way myself. For a long time, I believed that if I could just earn more, get a better salary, a higher position. Financial security would follow. That is what most of us are told. Study hard, get a good job, earn good money. But here is what nobody tells you. You can earn a very high income and still not be building any wealth at all. Mike Tyson earned over $300 million during his boxing career. He was one of the highest paid athletes in history. By 2003, he was bankrupt. The income was enormous. The wealth was zero, because everything he earned, he spent. When the fight purses stopped, everything stopped with them. And Tyson is not alone. Studies show that a significant number of professional athletes go broke within a few years of retiring, not because they are unintelligent, but because nobody taught them the difference between income and wealth. Income is what flows in. Wealth is what stays and grows. Warren Buffett understood this from a very young age. He bought his first stock at age 11 and filed his first tax return at 13. Even as a teenager, he was not focused on earning. He was focused on owning. Buffett famously said, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." The rule is this: stop chasing a bigger salary and start building assets that generate income, whether you work or not. Rule number 4. The rule of teams. This is one of the most powerful shifts I have ever made in how I think about money. And it is the rule that truly separates the self-employed from the genuinely wealthy. Here is the hard truth. You cannot build real wealth alone. Your personal productivity has a ceiling. There are only 24 hours in a day. No matter how talented or disciplined you are, there is a hard limit to how much one person can create on their own effort. I used to think working harder was the answer. Many people don't realize that this mindset is exactly what keeps them stuck. Rockefeller understood the rule of team better than almost anyone. By his 30s, he had built Standard Oil into an operation that employed thousands of people across dozens of states. He was not doing the work himself. He was building and managing a system. He once said, "I would rather earn 1% off 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts." That one sentence is the entire philosophy of leveraged wealth creation. The wealthy break through the productivity ceiling by building systems and teams. Their money works, their teams work, their assets generate returns, all simultaneously, all while they sleep. The moment you stop trading only your own time for money and start building systems that work without you, the entire game changes. Rule number 5, measure everything. Your net worth is your score. Every sport has a scoreboard. Every business has a financial statement. Every game has a way of knowing who is winning and who is losing. And yet, most people have no idea what their financial score is. When I started tracking my net worth for the first time, I was genuinely shocked. I knew my salary, I knew roughly what was in my bank account, but I had never calculated my total assets, my total liabilities, and the real difference between them. That number, that gap, is your actual score in the money game. Andrew Carnegie, who built one of the greatest steel empires in history and became one of the wealthiest men who ever lived, was obsessive about measurement. He tracked costs, revenues, margins, and productivity with a precision that was unusual for his era. He believed that what gets measured gets improved. Carnegie once said, "Watch the costs and the profits will take care of themselves." That is the rule. Start tracking your net worth today. Every asset you own, every debt you owe. Update it monthly. Because the moment you start paying attention to the score, you start playing the game completely differently. Here is what I want to leave you with. You are already in the money game. You have been in it your entire life. Every salary you earn, every purchase you make, every debt you carry, that is all part of the game. Rockefeller played it intentionally and became the wealthiest person in modern history. Buffett played it patiently and became one of the greatest investors who ever lived. Carnegie played it with precision and built an empire that outlasted him by over a century. They were not special. They were not lucky. They knew the rules. Now, so do you. The only question left is this: are you going to play the game or keep being played by it? Drop in the comments, which of these rules hit you the hardest? I read every single one, and if this shifted your thinking even slightly, share it with one person who needs to hear it. That is what Money Mind Shift is all about. See you in the next one.